I'm so glad you're here listening to the Sustain Your Passion podcast. I'm Genesis, your host and business development expert. If you're ready to make a bigger impact and income while helping others, then you're in the right place. Thanks for joining me, and I can't wait to help you sustain your passion. Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Sustain Your Passion. Today I want to talk with you about two of my favorite money mindset hacks that I started doing a few years ago and has totally changed the way I view money and sales, which is really helpful as someone that makes money by making sales. So if you have any kind of ick feelings towards talking about money, thinking about money, making sales, which typically requires a discussion about money, then you might like this episode. So I'm going to tell you these two strategies that I use and invite you to practice them and see how it feels for you. And then if you have questions, be sure to let me know. Find me on social media and let me know. Or if they help you, I would just love to hear your feedback, because this is stuff that I've shared with my clients over the years, but I've never put into a training resource like this. So I would just love feedback on this topic if you enjoy it, or if it works for you, or what you think. So the first one is all about other people's money. So if you didn't know, I grew up very low income. My parents divorced when I was really young. My dad was a first-gen immigrant from Iran. So we didn't have lots of family around. We didn't have family money or things like that. And then when my parents got divorced, my mom moved us to LA, which was a very expensive place to be raising kids on a single parent income. There was all sorts of issues between them and child support and stuff, but that ended up being that there were times where I didn't know where I'd be sleeping the next day. We got evicted. We lost our cars. We, just really unstable finances is what I would say I grew up with. And so because of that, though, I experienced that disappointment and that sadness that comes from being a kid and watching other people, peers or adults, get things and have things. And it was difficult to not wonder, why not me? And to kind of internalize that I didn't have money and people that had money were somehow taking it from me, almost like it was pie, and once it was cut up enough and passed out, there wouldn't be any more. And so as an adult, I, made it through college through scholarships and working multiple jobs. I was working full-time and part-time and going to school full-time at one point. It was bananas. But I've always felt like I had to work really hard to make money, which is true, because coming from a low-income background as a person of color, it is true. And as a neurodivergent person, that was true. However, as I've grown in my career, holding on to the belief that making money is hard, or that other people having money is somehow taking something from me, really stunted my ability to talk about money, to make sales, and to feel good about receiving money for my work. So because of that, I would downplay my value. I would be really insecure when I saw people that do work like me making sales, because I would think oh, well, they got that client that could have been mine, therefore there's no other clients, and there's not enough to go around, money or clients or whatever. So I'm somehow at a loss, I'm lacking. And yet this mindset kept me from actually being open to making more money, which was what I wanted by starting my business. And so it was kind of this push and pull, gas and then brake sort of movement, where it was yes, I want to make more money, but I don't want to be like those people that have money, right? Because I had this negative story in my head about what it meant. that if you had money, that meant you like took it from people. And if you had money, you were somehow a bad person and like you weren't helping us because we were in a bad financial place when I was growing up. And so I needed to do some work on this. And after doing all sorts of work on it, the hack that I figured out, like the strategy I want to share with you today, is what I do all the time now. And I actively monitor my thoughts when I notice like other people's money, and I want to share it with you. So if I notice someone else's money, whether that's that like they just bought a brand new travel trailer, they're moving into a bigger house, they upgraded their car, they're going on a vacation, they just got a raise, like whatever. I hear their income, like anything related to money about someone else, I actively challenge myself to think the thought, good for them. Because rather than living in this world that says other people having money and therefore people that have money are taking from others and somehow negative, I'm trying to rewrite that belief to say that people who have money, people who have things they value, that's good for them. Because if they can have those things, so can I. I'm using the fact that they have these things as a sign that I also can have those things, rather than what I grew up with, which was that scarcity mindset of, well, if they have what I want, if they have money, there's not enough for me. I can't have that. Which is downright not true. We really do live in a world where everyone could be well taken care of because we make up all of the rules. But until that is a wider spread reality, I can't influence everyone, but I can influence my world and the people around me and the people listening to this podcast to say, I want good people to have money, right? I want people that are like me to have money, because I know the way that I manage my money is pretty cool. I really like the way I manage my money. I like the way that I am generous with it, the way I donate with it, the way that I am always sharing things that I have. Like, I feel very communal and I invite people in, and there's this saying like, build a longer table, not a higher fence. Like, that is the way that I feel about my money management. And so if I were to be one of those people that, you know, upgraded their house, like that would be because I would be so excited to host more parties there and have people over, or have a place for someone to crash if they need a place to stay for a bit while they're between houses or finding a new job in the area or whatever. Like, I'm always thinking about how to share what I have, and I want to live in a world where that is true for more people. And I believe that that starts with my thinking. So the thing I do is actively think, good for them, whenever I see or think about someone else's money. Because I know the opposite of, like, fuck them for having it, is going to make it harder for me to receive money and to be someone that has money, because I'm actively building a story in my head that having money is bad, which isn't true. Money as a thing is totally morally neutral. There's no good or bad money. There's good or bad ways of using money, which is all up to the individual person. And that's why I don't want to assume that someone having money is negative. I want to know that me having money can be positive, actually, that it can be for good. So I'm actively practicing building that positivity around people having money so that it can also influence me. So the next time you notice someone has something that you want, or you just notice that they have a thing, like, or you hear about their money, or you hear about their sales, or whatever they're doing, whatever makes you think about their monetary or financial like situation at all, I want you to add good for them to the back of that. Like, whatever that thought is, just start adding in good for them. Because whether it's just in your head or if you start talking about it, like, I can almost guarantee you that if you do that consistently for the next 6 months, you will have a positive relationship with money. You will have a more positive relationship with money than you had when you started, because we are not told that people with money are good people. We have that, I think it's biblical saying out there that's like, money is the root of all evil. Like, what if we also talked about that money is the root of all joy? Like, is that true? But no, it's not. Either way isn't singular, you know? And so just opening up more pathways in your brain to say that having money can be good is going to do you so much favors, because you already are getting, whether you realize it or not, like from our media, a lot of negative stories about people with money. Like, there is a common conversation out there that people with money, and I'm not talking about billionaires, fuck them billionaires, but people that are like just able to retire will have millions of dollars. To be able to retire in our like millennial age range, you will need potentially $2 to $4 million to retire, depending on all sorts of factors. But like, we should all be millionaires. Ideally, we would all have money, and that would be so good for all of us. So try to monitor this. Even just try it for one day. Just notice how many times are you thinking comments about other people's money, and then add on good for them. Okay, that's the first strategy. Now, the second one is a bit more specific for people who sell things. So this is going to be really helpful for new coaches, new trainers, new course creators, anybody that's out there selling their own products. I think this will really help you. But if you have any kind of sales ick come up when I say this next sentence, this part is for you, okay? I love selling. I genuinely love the act of selling. And if that just made you cringe, listen up, okay? So I love selling because to me, what selling is sharing about something I believe is good. And if I believe the thing is good and I'm sharing about the good thing with someone, then that means that I'm doing something good by selling. Because I'm not going to try to sell anything that I don't genuinely believe in. I'm also not going to try and sell something to someone that I don't believe could benefit from that thing. So I know that whenever I am selling something, I'm doing good. So I love selling because it is a way for me to express myself, to be seen and known, to share my values, to talk about things I think are good and wonderful. And that is exciting to me. That is bridging connections with other people. And to me, selling is a great thing. Now, at the beginning of my business, I had some sales experience. I actually started selling when I was like 15. So I was a bank teller, a credit union teller, and we had like different financial services we could sell to the clients that would come into the credit union. So like if they needed a credit card, or if they needed a loan, or if they needed whatever other services we had, I could sell it to them. Like they paid a fee for these financial services. So I've been selling since I was 15, and heck, even before that as a Girl Scout. Like if you were a Girl Scout, you are a person who has sold because you have practiced selling as a Girl Scout with them cookies. But I want you to know that like starting to sell for myself still took some bumps, right? It was still kind of awkward for me because in all of my previous sales roles, when I was like at the credit union, when I worked at a art camp for a bit, like had to talk with the parents about like selling spots, into the art camp. I worked at a apartment complex that was brand new. And so I was selling leases for the year, like leases on the apartments. Gosh, there's probably more that I'm not thinking about right now, but all of these different sales experiences, right, were for someone else's mission. I was just the face bridging the connection between the person and the product, but they weren't like my products. They weren't my services that I offer through my own business. So there was still some like, I could kind of get out of my positivity around sales when I would think like, oh, well, it's just me, right? Like, oh, but I'm pushing, like I'm selling, I'm being annoying. Like it's me and my business. So I like felt bad about selling when I first started. Even though I had all this experience selling for other businesses, it still felt different. And so what I had to learn how to do, and the strategy that I'd like to share with you, is that I had to start rewriting what selling means to me so that I could genuinely get to the point of saying I love selling. Because it used to mean that somehow selling something was like dirty. It was somehow bad. Like, I still will see this. Like, there's so many people out there that can comfortably and confidently, like, fully believing it, say that they hate sales. They hate people who sell. And they're just so negative about selling in general. Now, I believe that's probably because you have sales traumas and you have been pushed into decisions that were through really icky sales strategies that were manipulative and abusive, and I'm really sorry that that happened. If you have any of those past issues, like, I can help you work through them, but not on a podcast, obviously. So the lesson I want to tell you, though, is that you have to normalize selling. And normalizing selling can be as easy as just noticing when selling is occurring. So the next time you're asked, what do you want for dinner? And you have an idea of what you want to eat for dinner, and you tell it to the person that asked you, I want you to pause and be like, ooh, I'm selling right now. Because here's what's happening, right? Somebody asks you, oh, what do you want for dinner? You're like, oh my gosh, let's go to that pizza place we went to last week. It was so good. I really want to try that barbecue chicken pizza. Remember, the ranch were good. Like, oh yeah, let's go back there. It was amazing. And hey, why don't we invite the neighbors? Like, we've been wanting to get to know them. I bet like they'd want to come out with us. Let me go let them know about this pizza place. That's selling. Like, you deciding, oh, I like this pizza place and I'd like to eat it tonight, so I'm going to communicate about this pizza place I like in this conversation and talk about this thing I really like and hope that this person wants to join me at this pizza place. Like, that is selling. And yet we don't recognize it that way because we want to put sales in this like ugly little box that we can like kick away and stay far away from, because society has deemed selling and salespeople as like the worst of the worst. Even though if I were to ask you, tell me about your favorite day in your life, like tell me about your favorite past day that you've ever had, like what was the best day of your life? And then if I were to ask you, how did money make all of that possible? I bet you the majority of the things on that list are going to be influenced by money. Did people need to take flights to come to, like for me, it would be my wedding, right? So did people have to take flights to come to your wedding? Did people have to drive their cars? Did they need gas in their cars to get there? Did they need clothes to wear to your wedding? Did your wedding need food? Did your wedding have music? Did it have like decorations? Like, money created that experience that you look back on and think like that was my favorite day. And yet, all of those transactions that happened required sales, right? Like buying the decorations, ordering the food, purchasing the flight, purchasing the car, buying the gas. Like, all of that was made possible because of sales. And yet, people walk around thinking they hate sales all the time, even though our favorite days and our favorite things in our lives came about as a result of selling. So why are we okay with keeping selling as this like dirty, dark little secret, when instead we could work towards the belief, I love selling, I love sales, because all it is a conversation about something that hopefully, right, and this is where it gets murky, is not everyone is selling genuinely good things, but in your own business, you get to make the decision that you only sell things you genuinely are proud of and that you genuinely believe will help people. And if that's the truth, why would you feel bad about telling them about it? It's the same thing as like the restaurant. Like, if you went and ate an amazing pizza that you loved, why would you feel bad telling your friends about it? You wouldn't. You would be like, let's go. It's amazing. Follow them on Instagram to get their freebies. Like, you would want everyone to get their 20% off discount code to go buy their first pizza. Like, you would be telling everyone, right? Or is it just me? Okay, maybe pizza's not your thing. What about shoes? Okay, this summer I have tried 4 different pairs of slides, and now that I know the pair that is really comfortable for me, I want to tell everyone about them. Because why not? Like, it is genuinely something I like. I've tried, I've seen works. Like, selling that is kind of me to do because otherwise, people are going to go try the other 3 types of shoes I tried and be stuck with those shitty shoes. Like, it is a good thing to sell good things. And if you sell a product that you don't feel is good, that's a problem, and we should work on what you're offering. But my guess is that you do have value in what you sell. And once you genuinely love what you're selling, going out and talking about it is as easy as inviting a friend to join you at dinner at your favorite pizza restaurant. And I want you to start practicing picking up on sales conversations because it happens all the time. People talk about sales as a method of persuasion or negotiating. And I think that there is such a bad rap out there about like persuading others to do things as if it's always like malicious. But if my kid, like hypothetical kid, right, was about to walk into the street, you bet I'm gonna sell them on not doing that. I'm going to persuade them not to do that. I'm going to try to manipulate their behavior so that they don't do that. So if I have a product that I know could help, metaphorically, my clients not step into the street where they're gonna be unsafe and at more risk and help them achieve what they want, which is safety, right? If I have a product that I can give them that's going to keep them safe or give them what they want, why would I not talk about that? Why would you not talk about that? I don't understand that. I don't know. But anyway, coming back to the point, the strategy is when you're out in the world, whether you're waiting in line to buy your groceries or you're listening to the radio or you're sitting at home hearing your husband talk to your son, I want you to listen for sales conversations because I was shocked how often selling occurs that I didn't realize until I started being mindful of it and started noticing it and appreciating it. So it's not just becoming aware of it, right? But it's actually saying, that's really cool. Like they're selling something and getting yourself more comfortable and more neutral to the idea of selling and recognizing that selling is everywhere. It happens all day long. The way that you negotiate who's going to cook dinner, who's going to pick up your kid from soccer, where you're going to go this weekend, what vacation you're going to take this fall, like that all happens through sales conversations. So it's happening already. We just maybe don't notice it or we don't catalog it as sales because we have this like very clear picture of what happens when sales are occurring. Like it's typically negative. It's maybe colored by our past traumas and influenced by negative things, but we can start rewriting what selling is in our brains. And the first step is becoming more aware of all of the sales that naturally are occurring every day, all day around us. And then asking like, is this okay? And the answer is probably yes. Like, there is more positive sales experiences in your world than negative. I would venture a guess. There is more positive selling happening around you than negative on most days, but you're not recognizing it. So my second strategy is to just really recommend that you start noticing that selling happens all day, every day, everywhere, and become more neutral to it and then work towards positivity in it. So first, just start being aware of it, like calling it out in your head, like, oh, this is selling. And then as you get more comfortable with acknowledging it and it becomes like second nature for you and you realize it's everywhere, then start adding that positive lens to it that I love selling. Like, this is good. Selling is good. Okay, those are my 2 strategies for you to help you with your money mindset. So first, recognizing people's money exists, right? Other people have money and that's okay. And saying good for them, because if it's good for them to have money, it's also good for me to have money. And then the second is start noticing the sales conversations that are happening around you every day in relationships and become more neutral and then positive towards it. So first, just start acknowledging it, that neutral state, just awareness, and then add on some kind of a affirmation of like, okay, and that's cool. Like, oh, they're selling something, how fun. And just try to really become more comfortable with the idea of selling, because if your business success is predetermined by your ability to sell, you liking selling is going to help you be way more successful. So it's really hard to make sales if you feel bad about taking people's money because you don't think they have enough, or you think that somehow you having money is a bad thing. But then also, if you think that selling is bad, you're not going to invite people to work with you. You're not going to talk about what you do enough to make the type of sales that you really need to have a successful business. All right, everyone, I hope these 2 methods help you. Please let me know what you thought of this episode. This is a little different. It's a bit more directive. So if you found this helpful, if you like hearing about money and money mindset and sales from me, let me know. Please go find me on social media and let me know. That would be super helpful. And of course, if you want to dive deeper into this topic or anything else business related, shoot me a message on social media and let's get connected. I have just a couple of spots open in Passion to Paychecks this month, and if one of them is yours, you better get in quick because they are selling fast. And I hope this was helpful. Take care. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Sustain Your Passion podcast. If this episode helped you gain a bit more clarity, courage, or confidence, please share it with your friends on social media or in a text. It would mean the world to me. Thanks in advance for sharing this episode. I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.